CS OrthoTrac, Customizing Patient Flow Options, Recorded Class. The OrthoTrac Patient Flow module is a monitoring system that gives you a continuous overview of all patients in your office on a particular day. Patients are checked in for their appointment either by themselves at a computer in the waiting room or by a staff member at the front desk. The system then tracks patients as they proceed to the operatory and finally to the checkout area. The additional computers running patient flow, such as front desk, doctor's office, business office, exam rooms, and so on, can each use a different display option depending on the tasks performed at that computer. Before you start using the Patient Flow module, you should customize it to suit the needs of your practice and for each specific workstation. From the main toolbar, click the maintenance icon, represented by the wrench, and select Patient Flow Options. The Patient Flow Options window includes 7 topic tabs. Each tab enables you to customize a different aspect of the Patient Flow module. Display Options. The Display Options tab enables you to customize the check-in screens, whether you choose to allow patients to check themselves in from the waiting room, or whether you prefer to have your staff check in patients at the front desk. To begin, select the display option you wish to use in your practice. Select Staff Photographic to display a grid of patient names and photographs to staff members. A staff member can move a patient to a new location by selecting the patient's photo or name and dragging it to the new location in the Patient Flow grid. If enabled, the Change Patient Location window is displayed, and the staff member can select a new location from the window. Select Staff Text-Based to display a grid of patient names to staff members. Staff members can move a patient to a new location by selecting the patient name and dragging it to the new location. If enabled, the Change Patient Location window is displayed, and the staff member can select a new location from the window. Select Patient Photographic to display patient photographs to patients on the lobby check-in terminal, enabling them to select a picture to check in. Select Patient Non-Photographic to display boxes labeled with each letter of the alphabet to patients on the lobby check-in terminal. Patients can select the letter that corresponds to the first letter of their last name and then select their name from a list to check in. Select Patient Name Entry to display boxes labeled with each letter of the alphabet to patients on the lobby check-in terminal. A patient can select the boxes to spell out his name, or he can type his name in the provided field to check in. Note: the patient display options lock patients out of all functions except checking into the lobby. Select Choose Background to select the background color or picture that is displayed behind the Patient Flow check-in window. To add an image to your background, in the File section, navigate to the folder containing the picture you want to use as your background and double-click the folder. The files in the folder are displayed in the bottom pane. Select the file you want to use as your background. Click the Picture Display drop-down arrow to select how the picture should display on the screen. Click Choose Color and select from the color options in the Color window. Click OK to save your changes. Use the arrows in the Refresh Display Every section to set how frequently the system refreshes displayed information. The default is set to 30 seconds for patient flow and network performance optimization. Refresh rates of less than 30 seconds can cause general slowness in some networks because of the constant network activity from workstations to server. The Instructions section contains instructions the patient sees on the check-in monitor for the 3 available check-in types. To change a set of instructions, select it and type the replacement text. In the Display Patients Starting From section, choose when you want patients to appear in the Patient Non-Photographic check-in window if they have not checked in. It can be set to appointment times from the current time minus X number of minutes, or it can be set from the beginning of the day. Finally, select the Use Large Pictures checkbox to display large-size photos in the staff photographic and patient photographic check-in windows. Click OK to save your changes. Locations. The Locations tab enables you to customize the locations and destinations displayed in the patient flow grid. Begin by selecting the specific locations you want included in the grid, and then use the drop-down arrows to select identifying colors for each location. Next, select the destinations you want included in the grid. Locations and destinations are displayed in the patient flow grid and are outlined in the colors you select in Patient Flow Options. In the Schedule Offices and Chairs section, select the offices you want to see in the patient flow grid. Click the down arrow to edit the number of available chairs for each selected office location. Click OK to save your changes. General Options. The General Options tab enables you to determine patient and office constraints, warnings, alerts, and appointment types. Use the Patient Time Constraints section to identify the number of minutes necessary for a patient to be considered early, late, or a no-show. If a patient exceeds one of these time limits and the flash system is activated, the patient name flashes on the photographic windows and the patient status flashes on the grid. We recommend you use the same settings for patient time constraints on all workstations. Select Do Not Allow Patient to Check In If, and type the number of minutes necessary to restrict the patient's check-in time window. If a patient exceeds one of these time limits, a message advises the patient to see the receptionist to sign in manually. Note that this feature does not replace the existing no-show time constraint. In the Office Time Constraints section, type the number of minutes necessary in order for the office to be considered behind for a scheduled patient, a walk-in, or an emergency. If the flash system is activated and a patient has a scheduled appointment, is a walk-in, or is an emergency, and spends more than the predetermined number of minutes waiting at any location, the patient name flashes on the photographic windows and the patient location flashes on the grid. The Warning Information System section controls the flash system. To enable the flash system, select Set Flash Active. To have the patient photo and location flash when the office is behind, select Office is Behind. Select Patient is Early if you want the patient name and status to flash when a patient arrives early. Select Patient is Late to have the patient name and status flash when a patient is late. The two automatically load settings, if selected, instruct the software to automatically load Patient Checkout when a patient is moved to checkout, or automatically load the charting module when a patient is moved into the operatory. To play a sound when a patient scheduled for one of the new patient appointment types is moved from Not Here to another location in the patient flow grid, select the New Patient Alert option. The sound is played only if your workstation displays the location to which the patient has moved. For example, if a patient is moved from the lobby, but your workstation does not have lobby displayed as a location, you will not hear the sound. Click Browse to upload a sound file from your computer. The Appointment Type section enables you to set up the appointment types in Patient Flow that are considered new appointment and emergency types. The new appointment types identified here trigger the New Patient Alert to sound when a patient checks in. Click Click to Edit in either field to add or remove appointment types. Move appointment types from the Available Appointment Type section to the Selected Appointment Type section, and then click Apply. Click OK to save your changes. Check-in Message. The Check-in Message tab enables you to create a message for patients who match criteria you set to prevent them from checking in themselves. From this tab, you can configure the software to automatically add a check-in message for patients with a balance or a promise due, or for patients who are scheduled for specific procedures. You can also manually set up a check-in message. In the Financial section, select an option to cause the software to add a "Patient has a balance due" message to the patient chart. In the Promise Due section, click the "Account has a promise due on or before their scheduled appointment day" option. Selecting this option adds a "Patient has a promise due" message to the patient chart. Remember that only staff members can view this message. A patient with a check-in message is told to check in with the receptionist. He does not see the reason for the message. To add a "Patient is scheduled for" selected procedure message to the patient chart, click Add Remove Procedure in the Scheduled Procedure section. In the Available Procedure section, double-click on a procedure to move it to the Selected Procedure section. After selecting all desired procedures, click Apply. Click OK to save your changes. Grid Setup. The Grid Setup tab enables you to configure the way the patient flow grid displays. Changes made on this tab are workstation-specific for staff-based displays, as opposed to patient-based displays. Use the Sample Patient Flow Grid section to change the order and width of the columns. Click a column header and drag it to the new position. To change the width of columns, position the cursor on the line between the column headings and drag the column to the left or right. Click to select or deselect the fields you want to display in the patient flow window. In the Default Sort Order section, use the drop-down list to select the criterion for sorting the grid. Select to sort the list in ascending or descending order. In the Miscellaneous Options section, you can choose to extend columns to fill the grid, display appointments by appointment type or procedure, and display the Change Patient's Location window when you move a patient to a destination in patient flow. Note that if you choose to display appointments by procedure, the primary procedure code a patient is scheduled for is the code displayed on the patient flow grid. If no procedure has been attached to the appointment type is displayed, surrounded by 2 asterisks. If an appointment has multiple procedures attached to it, only the first procedure is displayed in patient flow. Click Reset to Default to restore the grid to the original settings. Click Change Grid Font to change the font, style, and size. Click OK to save your changes. Let's take a look at how these settings are displayed on the patient flow grid. The columns we chose are displayed in the order and with the column width determined in Patient Flow Options. Appointments are sorted in order of appointment type and show the appointment type instead of the primary procedure. Lightbar Options. The Lightbar Options tab enables you to dictate how doctor, chair, and patient information is displayed in the lightbar. The standalone lightbar offers a real-time view of workflow performance outside of the treatment card and the patient information window. It opens when you open the Patient Flow module, and it is displayed on the right side of the screen by default. Each block on the lightbar represents a treatment chair. Each chair displays patient, appointment, and assigned doctor information. From the Lightbar Options tab, add and remove doctors in the Lightbar Doctors section. Double-click a doctor's name to change it. Double-click the assigned color to change it. When a doctor is called to or is at a chair, the chair header in the lightbar matches the color assigned to the doctor in this section of the Lightbar Options tab. For example, here we see that Dr. 2, purple, has been called to chair T22. In the Chair Setup section, enter the total number of chairs you want displayed on the lightbar. Double-click a chair name to change it. This is the only place in the software to edit chair names. 3 display options at the bottom of the window enable you to choose not to display the lightbar on this workstation, to display the full last name of the patient in the lightbar, or to only display the first initial of the patient's last name. Click OK to save your changes. In this example, only the first initial of the patient's last name is displayed in the light bar. Welcome screen. Use the Welcome Screen tab to create a message of the day that will display to patients on the check-in computer, any header and logo you want to include, and patient login instructions. Enter text directly in the Message of the Day text box as you'd like it displayed to your patients. Use the toolbar at the bottom of the window to change the typeface, type size, position, and so on. Select Show MOTD Change Screen when loading patient flow for the day to have the software display a window where you can update the daily message when you first open patient flow. Click Header to add image and text to the heading of your welcome screen. Use the formatting toolbar and other options to customize your heading. Click Instructions to enter instructions telling patients how to log in. For example, if your office uses the fingerprint scanner for patient check-in, you could type, "Please place your finger on the scanner to check in." Click OK to save your changes. This is an example of how your welcome screen might display to your patients upon check-in. This concludes the recorded class, Customizing Patient Flow Options.